Okay, I hope I'm audible to all students who are attending this lecture of Introductory Microeconomics. Okay, I intend to start with a new topic in this course, which is competitive market structure. Competitive market structure. Okay, this topic comes within firm theory, but I have given it a separate name in my lectures called the competitive market structure. Formally, this is chapter 14 of the book I prefer to follow for my introductory microeconomics course, which is Gregory and Mankiw. Gregory and Mankiw. This is the fourth edition. Okay, so let's look at lectures on competitive market structure. So first of all, we need to understand what is exactly meant by a competitive market. Okay, so our heading now is competitive market. So I expect students to know about the forms of market structure, which you must have done in your high school economics. So one of the forms of market structure which all of you had done was perfect competition. Okay, and students also know about what are the features of a perfectly competitive market. Okay, so we can write a perfectly competitive market. A perfectly competitive market has the following three main characteristics. As the following three main characteristics. What are they, guys? The first characteristic, that there are infinite number of buyers and sellers. There are infinite number of buyers and sellers in the market. So when we talk about a perfectly competitive market, it comprises of infinite number of buyers and sellers. You cannot count them. Okay. And second particular point, or I can say that the number of buyers and sellers are so large that it's difficult to count them. I can put it in a more better way. The number of buyers and sellers under perfect competition are so large that it is difficult to count them. Okay, and goods produced under perfect competition, goods produced under perfect competition are homogeneous. Now, when we say that the goods are homogeneous, it means they have the same shape, size, color, weight, etc. When I say that the goods under perfect competition are homogeneous, it means they are exactly identical. Identical means the consumer cannot differentiate between these goods in a perfectly competitive market. These goods have the same shape, they have the same size, they have the same color, they have the same weight. Okay, so there is no product differentiation in competitive market. So I can write, this means that there is no product differentiation. There is no product differentiation in competitive markets. So hoping that students have understood the second feature as well. Okay, and now what do the first two features imply? So I can write implication of characteristics 1 and 2. The two characteristics which we have done, what are the implications of this? Okay, so under perfectly competitive markets, since the number of buyers and sellers are so large, we can say action of one single buyer or seller in the market, action of one single buyer or seller in the market has a negligible impact on the market price. Since the number of buyers and sellers are so large, any action by one single buyer, so if one single buyer starts demanding more, we can't say that price will go up. If one single seller in the market starts selling more, price will not go down. That means actions by one single buyer or one single seller have no impact on the market price. Also, price is fixed by the industry. Who fixes the price under perfect competition? The industry. How does the industry fix the price? By market forces of demand and supply. Very simple. Okay. Price is fixed by the industry, and buyers and sellers are simply price takers. They are simply price takers. Okay, so under perfect competition, price is not fixed by buyers or sellers. Under perfect competition, price is fixed by the industry. Buyers and the sellers will take the price as given. Because there are so many buyers and sellers that one particular buyer or one particular seller cannot dictate the price in the industry. Also, guys, if you look at the second particular characteristic, also homogeneous goods imply existence of a uniform price. That means price in the industry is uniform. When will the price be different? Price will be different if consumers can differentiate between the goods. If consumers can differentiate between the goods on the basis of quality or shape, size, color, then it makes sense to charge different prices for different goods. But under perfect competition, goods are homogeneous, they are exactly identical. Now, since they are exactly identical, it makes all the more sense to charge a uniform price for all the goods. That means the first characteristic is telling us that price is fixed by the industry and buyers and sellers in the market are simply price takers. The second characteristic is telling us that since the goods sold under perfect competition are homogeneous, that means they are identical in terms of shape, size, color. That simply means that there is existence of a uniform price under perfect competition. Okay, and now let's look at the third feature, guys. Third feature under perfect competition. So I can write under perfect competition, new firms can freely enter the industry. New firms can freely enter the industry and existing firms can freely exit the industry. Okay, new firms can freely enter the industry and existing firms can freely exit the industry. Now, what is the implication of this, guys? Implication of the third characteristic. We can say free entry and exit. Free entry and exit under perfect competition. Free entry and exit under perfect competition implies existence of normal profits. Existence of only normal profits. Normal profits means zero economic profits. All students can recall this from my lectures on firm theory. When I talk about normal profits, that means zero economic profits in the industry. So guys, very simple. Whenever the industry starts making profits, new firms will enter the industry and they will increase the supply, which will cause the price to fall such that the industry is back to normal profits. On the other hand, when the industry is making losses, existing firms will leave the industry, which will reduce the supply, which in turn will cause an increase in price so that the industry is back to normal profits. That means, guys, under perfect competition, the industry will only be making normal profits. By normal profits, we mean zero economic profits. So I hope all students attending this lecture have understood the three important features of perfect competition along with their implications. Okay, now let's talk about how output is determined under perfect competition. So output decisions. Okay, let's look at output decisions, which also includes our concept of revenue, costs, and profit maximization under perfect competition. So now, guys, we are going to see how output is determined under perfect competition. Okay, so now very simple. We first need to find out what is the demand curve facing a perfectly competitive firm. Okay, now to understand about demand, we need to first talk about revenue and costs. Okay, so first of all, when I talk about total revenue, total revenue is defined as the price per unit times the quantity of output, price per unit times the quantity of output that the firm decides to produce. So guys, if I write it mathematically, my total revenue is nothing but price into quantity. It is defined simply as the quantity of output that the firm decides to produce. Okay, when we talk about marginal revenue, we denote by MR. So marginal revenue is the additional revenue. Marginal revenue is the additional revenue which a firm earns, by selling an additional unit of output. Okay, so it is the additional revenue earned by the firm from selling an additional unit of output. Mathematically, marginal revenue is nothing but derivative of the total revenue with respect to quantity. Or I can write, if you want to look at the exact definition, guys, I can write in limit form like this. Limit as change in Q tends to 0, change in TR upon change in Q. Now, since students are also attending my mathematical methods for economics course, the objective is to link the introductory microeconomics course with the mathematical tools which students have learned in my MME course. Okay, so marginal revenue is the additional revenue earned by the firm from selling an additional unit of output. It is nothing but the derivative of the total revenue function with respect to output. Or if you look at it in the limit form, it's limit as delta Q tends to 0, delta TR upon delta Q. Okay, now under perfect competition, all of us know. Okay, before writing that, guys, let's quickly define average revenue also, and then we can talk about what happens under perfect competition. So average revenue, which we denote by AR, is the revenue per unit of the output sold. It is the revenue per unit of the output sold. That is, I can write mathematically average revenue is total revenue divided by quantity. So average revenue is the revenue per unit of the output sold. It's total revenue divided by quantity. Okay. And what is this, guys? What is my total revenue? It's nothing but price into quantity divided by quantity. Quantity and quantity cancel out. So what is my average revenue? Average revenue is equal to the price of the commodity. So AR by default is nothing but the price faced by any competitive firm. So we can say average revenue curve is also called the demand curve, because average revenue is nothing but the price received by the firm for every unit of the output sold. Hence, I can say AR curve is also the demand curve facing the firm. It is the demand curve facing the firm. Why is it that AR curve is the demand curve facing the firm? I'm revising it once again with all the students. If you look at it mathematically, average revenue is nothing but revenue per unit of output sold. So AR is equal to TR by Q, but TR itself is P into Q. P into Q divided by Q is nothing but P. That means the average revenue received by a firm is exactly equal to the price per unit. So I can say average revenue is also called the demand curve facing the firm. Okay, and now, guys, we can look at the demand curve of the industry and the firm. So all of us know under perfect competition, since price is determined under perfect competition, since price is determined by the industry and is fixed, therefore price is equal to MR under perfect competition. That means the additional revenue earned by a perfectly competitive firm exactly equals the price of a commodity, since price is fixed. Every additional unit in a perfectly competitive market is sold at the same price. Now, since every additional unit in a perfectly competitive market is sold at the same price, the additional revenue earned by any firm is nothing but the price itself. So P is equal to MR. Okay, so if I now draw the diagram, for all students, you can see I am drawing two diagrams on the screen. One is the diagram pertaining to the industry, and another is the diagram pertaining to one particular firm under perfect competition. Perfectly competitive firm. Students should be able to distinguish between industry and firm. Industry and firm are two different things. And industry consists of a lot of firms. So when we talk about automobile industry, it's an industry. Within that, we have Toyota, we have Honda, we have Maruti, we have Audi, we have Mercedes, and so on. A lot of brands we have. So now if I talk about industry demand curve, so first of all, output is measured on both the axes, horizontal axis, and price is measured on the vertical axis. Now the industry demand curve is downward sloping as usual. Industry supply curve is upward sloping, and the price is determined by the industry by the market forces of demand and supply. Now, when I talk about one particular competitive firm, this firm will take this price as given. This firm will take this price as given and can supply as much as it can at this price. So guys, this is nothing but my marginal revenue. And all of us know, guys, P star is equal to marginal revenue. And we have just done that price is nothing but the average revenue as well. So I can write it's equal to average revenue as well. Because we have just done a few minutes back that price is nothing but average revenue. Now under perfect competition, price is equal to marginal revenue, and price by definition is equal to average revenue. So I can say that under perfect competition, P is equal to MR is equal to AR. So what is this? This is the demand curve. This is the demand curve facing a perfectly competitive firm. So at this price, which is fixed by the industry, the firm can supply whatever is demanded. So I can say the demand curve of a perfectly competitive firm, the demand curve of a perfectly competitive firm is perfectly elastic. Now, students who have attended my lectures on elasticity in the introductory microeconomics course very well know that if the demand curve is parallel to the x-axis, elasticity of demand is equal to infinity. That means such a demand curve is said to be perfectly elastic. So what we have learned is, if I talk about the industry demand curve is downward sloping. If I talk about the industry demand curve, that is downward sloping. But if I talk about the firm's demand curve, which is also called the AR curve, that is nothing but a line parallel to the x-axis or perfectly elastic. So we say that a perfectly competitive demand curve is perfectly elastic or aligned parallel to the horizontal axis. And under perfect competition, since every additional unit of output is sold at the same price, the additional revenue earned by the firm, which we call as the marginal revenue, will be nothing but the price only, guys. I hope students have understood why P is equal to MR. A few minutes back, I had shown you that P is equal to AR. That is by definition. By definition, P is equal to AR. But why is P equal to MR under perfect competition? Because marginal revenue is nothing but the additional revenue you earn from selling one more unit of a commodity. And under perfect competition, if I am selling one more unit of a commodity, what is the additional revenue I'm earning? Nothing but the price. That means under perfect competition, P is equal to MR. By definition, P is equal to AR. So if I combine the two, P is equal to MR is equal to AR under perfect competition. Okay, so hoping that all students have understood this. And guys, then I can quickly draw a schedule for the same. So all of you can consider the following schedule, where we can also talk about profit maximization. Okay, so look at the following schedule. Look at the following schedule. We have output. We have total revenue in dollars. Suppose we talk about output as in terms of gallons. Output is in gallons. We have total revenue in dollars. Total cost is also in dollars. Okay. What will my profit be? Now, profit in firm theory was denoted by pi, which is nothing but total revenue minus total cost. So profit is also in dollars. It's nothing but the difference between total revenue and total cost. Marginal revenue, marginal cost. And then you can see the change in profit. Now change in profit is nothing but marginal revenue minus the marginal cost. So guys, if I fill up the schedule 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, this is my output in gallons. My total revenue is 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. If you plot it along with output on the horizontal axis, you see that total revenue has a constant slope. Now, what is the slope of total revenue? Marginal revenue. So I can write MR is the slope of TR and MC is the slope of TC. You can look at total revenue, guys. It's going up by 6 every time. That means it has a constant slope. For every 1 unit increase in output, you can see that your total revenue is going up by exactly 6. And then guys, I can draw the marginal revenue schedule for all students. So before drawing the marginal revenue, let's look at total cost. So total cost is suppose 3, 5, 8, 12, 17, 23, 30, 38, and 47. Now, if all of you can recall the total cost curve starts from total fixed cost. So if I ask you guys, what is the total fixed cost? Total fixed cost is nothing but $3. Because if all of you can recall from my lectures on firm theory, at 0 level of output, total cost and total fixed cost are the same. And then you can see total cost is following the same pattern as total variable cost. You can see initially total cost is increasing. It starts eventually increasing at an increasing rate. you can see that total cost starts increasing at an increasing rate. Okay, so hoping students have understood this. Now what is profit, guys? Difference between total revenue and total cost. So 3 minus 0 minus 3 minus 3, 6 minus 5 1, 4 6 7 7 6 4 1. This is my profit. If I calculate marginal revenue, it's nothing but the difference between total revenue, or I can say marginal revenue more formally is change in total revenue upon change in quantity. We cannot calculate for the first output level, for the zero output level. For the first output level, it is 6 minus 0 upon 1 minus 0, which is 6. Then it's 12 minus 6 upon 2 minus 1, which is 6. And you can see it is coming out as 6 throughout. You can see it's coming 6 throughout. What is my marginal cost? Marginal cost is nothing but change in total cost upon change in output. So what is my change in total cost, guys? Obviously, I can't calculate marginal cost for zero level of output. For the first level of output, it's 5 minus 3, which is 2. Then 8 minus 5, which is 3. Then 12 minus 8, which is 4. Okay. And then I can keep on calculating 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So hoping all students have understood this. And if I calculate the change in profit, it's nothing but the difference between the additional revenue earned and additional cost incurred from selling one more unit of a commodity. So change in profit. Now, guys, there are two ways to calculate it. You can calculate, you can do MR minus MC. You can even do 1 minus of minus 3, 4 minus 1, 6 minus 4, 7 minus 6, 7 minus 7, 6 minus 7, 4 minus 6, 1 minus 4. You can even calculate change in profit like this, or it's nothing but MR minus MC. So obviously you cannot calculate change in profit at zero level of output. For the first level of output, it's 6 minus 2 or 1 minus of minus 3. Both give you the answer as 4. Then it's 6 minus 3, which is 3. 6 minus 4, which is 2. 6 minus 5, which is 1. 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So I hope all students have understood this particular schedule. Now, if I ask you, if the objective of the firm is to maximize its profit, when will it keep on producing? So if I make a last column, which is called tendency of output. Output is denoted by Q. Tendency of output. So guys, you can clearly see marginal revenue here is more than the marginal cost. That means the additional revenue earned is more than the additional cost incurred. So the firms will increase the output. In the second case also, 6 is more than 3. Marginal revenue is more than the marginal cost. There is tendency of output to increase in the second case as well. In the third case also, 6 is more than 4. Tendency of output is to increase because again MR is more than MC. In the next case also, MR is more than MC. Again, same reason. But where will the firm stop? So clearly look at this, guys. Look at this brown fenced region. So you can clearly see here Q will not change. The firms will not change their output, because in this case the additional revenue earned exactly equals the additional cost incurred. If you look at the other cases, guys, you can clearly see that now my MR becomes less than MC. That means the additional revenue earned by the firm is less than the additional cost. So firms will decrease the output. In this case also decrease, in this case also decrease. That means profit will be maximum. You can clearly see profit is maximum at 7. MR exactly equals MC. Now guys, profit was maximum here also. Profit was maximum here also. But you could see MR was still more than MC. That means the additional revenue earned by the firm was still more than additional cost, which creates motivation for the firm to increase the output. But when MR becomes exactly equal to MC, when does that happen? That happens at 5 gallons. At 5 gallons of output, the additional revenue earned of $6 exactly equals the additional cost incurred of $6. As a result, profit is at its maximum, okay, and change in profit is 0. So clearly we have got our condition for profit maximization. So if I erase all this, okay, so our profits are nothing but total revenue minus total cost. Objective of the firm is to choose Q, which is the output to maximize profits. Now, students who have attended my lectures on mathematical methods for economics and know mathematics from high school, how do we maximize or minimize? You differentiate the function with respect to Q and put it equal to 0. So guys, if I differentiate the profit function with respect to Q, dtr by dq minus dtc by dq equal to 0, which implies what is dtr by dq? If you differentiate total revenue with respect to output, you get marginal revenue. If you differentiate total cost with respect to output, you get marginal cost. MR minus MC equal to 0 implies MR is equal to MC. This is my necessary condition for profit maximization. Necessary condition for profit maximization under perfect competition. And what is my sufficient condition? Sufficient condition is at the point of profit maximization, at the point of profit maximization, the MC curve must cut the MR curve from below. MC curve must cut the MR curve from below. Okay, so this is my sufficient condition for profit maximization under perfect competition. Okay, so if I quickly draw a diagram, suppose let me draw a small diagram here. This is quantity and we have the revenue and costs. This is my marginal revenue under perfect competition, which is equal to price, which is equal to average revenue. And this is my marginal cost. All students know the shape of marginal cost from the previous lectures on firm theory. Now guys, you can see that this is here also MR is equal to MC. Here also MR is equal to MC. So at both points A and B, you can see that the necessary condition is satisfied. MR is equal to MC. But sufficient condition, the sufficient condition is satisfied only at point B. The sufficient condition is satisfied only at point B. You can clearly see at point B, MC is cutting the MR curve from below and then rising. Whereas at point A, MC is cutting the MR curve from the top. So beyond point A, if you further produce your MR is more than MC, that means point A, I can say, is divergent. It's a divergent equilibrium. You would never reach point A. But if you look at point B, to the left of point B, MR is more than MC, which will cause the output to rise. To the right of point B, MC is greater than MR, which will cause the output to fall. So I can say that point B is the convergent equilibrium. Or I can say that point B is the only unique equilibrium where the necessary and the sufficient conditions both are satisfied. Necessary condition is MR equal to MC. Sufficient condition is that the MC curve is cutting the MR curve from below and then rising. Okay, so for the schedule I have taken, in order to maximize profits, the firm will produce 5 gallons of output, because as you can recall from the schedule, at 5 gallons of output, MR is equal to MC and change in profit is equal to 0. Okay, so guys, this is where I intend to stop in this particular lecture. Okay, we will discuss more on profit maximization in the next lecture as well. Okay, so I hope that all students have understood this particular lecture and have no doubts. Okay, in the next lecture, we will be talking about the short run supply curve of a perfectly competitive firm. We will talk about the short run shutdown decision. Okay, we'll talk about the long run decision of a perfectly competitive firm. So that means we, in the coming lectures, we'll be doing some very interesting things in our lectures on competitive market structure. Today, the objective was to introduce the concept to you, introduce the concept of total revenue, total cost, profits, okay? Discuss with all the students the condition for profit maximization under perfect competition. So I hope all students have enjoyed this lecture. Any doubt, you can unmute your mics and ask, or call up or mail me your doubts at divineschooloфeconomics@gmail.com. So this is where I stop in this particular lecture.